juggling, yeah? That's it. That's it. Nothing else? Oh, shut up. Who wants to see the most difficult tricks that I can do? No response here. Don't worry, sir. I don't care. I'm going to do them anyway, because this is for me, not for you, okay? I was going to do these tricks anyway. It doesn't matter what the response is. If you're going to try the hardest tricks, you don't want to just compare like what you've done in the past. You want to compare yourself to the greatest, you know? Say if you're a tennis player and you're in your first Grand Slam final, you don't want to be playing against like Thomas Burdick or something like that. You want to be up against one of the all-time greats, like the Big Four. You want to be up against Nadal and Federer and Djokovic and Murray. I can see you're not tennis fans at all, so I'm going to move on from this analogy here. So, so instead of me just like going up against whatever, just copying the tricks, I'm going to copy the tricks from the best jugglers in the world. Who's the best jugglers in the world? Yes? Any juggler? Yeah? Anyone? Where's Peden? Yeah, but he wasn't around when I started learning. So some older best jugglers in the world.
Keep rolling!
What's that? Anthony Gatto, yes? Rastelli? No. Serena Williams? Yes, great, yeah. No. When I started juggling, there was a consensus about who were the Big Four, and again, I'm not so contentious. Move on from that. The Big Four jugglers, okay, were Francis Brunn, Sergey Ignatov, Kremo, and Anthony Gatto. Because I saw them at the time, I was like, will there ever be anyone who could do all of their tricks, like their routines or their finales or anything like that? And I was like, nah, nobody's got time for that. And I never had time for that either, until about this time, 3 years ago, March 2020. Suddenly I had some time on my hands, and I'm like, now is the time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to learn the finale trick, or signature trick, of the 4 best jugglers of all time, okay? Until Wes Peden came along, but before him, the 4 best jugglers. So that's what I'm going to do on stage. Is that okay? Is that okay? I'm going to do the signature finale tricks of the 4 best jugglers of all time. Let's take you back to the Big Four, number 1, okay, Francis Brunn, who was born in the 1930s. He's a German juggler, and he was generally considered the greatest juggler. He was like in the Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey, greatest juggler. He was center ring. They promoted him as the greatest juggler, and he was. Like, let me explain to you, this history book that I showed you before, The Virtuosos of Juggling, who's on the front cover? Francis Brunn. And he's doing a trick that I'm gonna do on stage. It became so famous. He wasn't the person who invented this trick, but like, he did it so much better than anyone else that it now bears his name. It's called the Brunn finale, or the Brunn finish. Let me break it down for you. Let me explain how this is going to work. What's going to happen is I'm going to juggle 3 rings in my left hand. At the same time as that, I'm going to whirl 2 large rings in opposite directions around my right arm. At the same time as that, I'm going to spin a ball on the finger of my right hand. At the same time as that, I'm going to balance a pedestal on my forehead. And I'm going to spin a mini basketball on the pedestal on my forehead. There's not. At the same time as that, I'm going to put a mouth stick in my mouth, a mouth pedestal in my mouth, and there's going to be a ball spinning on the top of that as well. Now, Francis Brunn, at the beginning of his career, and at the end of his career, when he got a bit older, he would perform a 9-object version of this. At the height of his career, he'd used 12 objects in his Brunn finish. If you weren't counting before, I'm going to split the difference and do a 10-object version of Francis Brunn's finish. Now, because this is such a classic trick, and he performed it for many years, he made it famous by performing on TV variety shows, and he always performs the same piece of music. Because it's such a classic, classical piece of music, I'm going to do the same thing and use the same music. And I'm just going to say, this trick might not last very long, but you will know when to clap. All right, David, if you're ready with the music, let's go. Oh, yeah! Away at the end. 1 down, 3 to go. Big 4, number 2. This guy's name, Sergey Ignatov, a Russian juggler born in 1960. He was known as the poet juggler because he would perform very gracefully to classical music, things like Chopin, Rachmaninoff, all that kind of stuff. Really great stuff. Now, what made him special was there were some good jugglers in Russia at the time. It wasn't Russia, it was the Soviet Union. But Sergey Ignatov was the juggler that the Soviet Union sent out from behind the Iron Curtain to impress the circus world in the West, in North America, South America, all over the world, a lot in Europe as well. And Sergey Ignatov was a complete legend. You know, I was doing have you done pancake throws with rings? Pancake throws? Sergey Ignatov invented the pancake throw. What a legend. But while he was good at ring juggling, he performed a lot of ring juggling, what he became known for at the time was being an expert at a single trick, which is called 5-club backcrosses. Do you know this trick? You see 5-club backcrosses? Yeah. On this video, on this VHS, in the late 1970s, there's a video of him in the center stage, live on stage. He did 37 5-club backcrosses in a row on stage, which is really good. Like, Wes Peden doesn't even get to 37 catches, all right? So I was really excited to see him perform once over in the EJC in 2006 in Ireland. He came out of semi-retirement. He was mostly doing workshops and stuff, but he performed in the gala show, and he did like 9 rings and things. I was really excited to see his 5-club backcrosses, though, because that's what really stood out to me. And he didn't do 37 5-club backcrosses. He actually did 1 5-club backcross. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, yeah, he's 57 years old. Of course he's not doing 37 backcrosses in a row. He's going to do 1. And in that moment, I realized, I see in him my own future. Because I can do 5-club backcrosses. I performed in that same show, and in that show I did more 5-club backcrosses in the show, and I felt bad about it, because I did like 5, and he did 1, and I was like, oh, am I better than Sergey Ignatov? No, I'm not. But you know, he set standard. So I'm going to do 5-club backcrosses here, and I'm going to go for 10 catches, because that's pretty impressive. 10 catches. But as I said, this is a very hard trick. It's not getting any easier, and I'm not getting any younger. So I think, if I manage to get this on stage, 10 catches of 5-club backcrosses, I'm saying goodbye to this trick. This is going to be the last time I ever try to perform this, because I'm 42 years old, and I don't want to be trying on stage when I'm 56. So here we go. 5-club backcrosses for 10 catches. Let's see if I can do this. And if I do, this is going to be the last time I ever try this trick on stage. David, if we're ready with the music, let's go. Yes, Sergey Ignatov performs this music, that's why I'm using it. Well, that's interesting. That piece of music's 4 minutes long. I thought I might need to use all of it, but... tick. All right. Big. 4. Number 3, Chris Kramer. All right, Chris Kramer. Born 1961, is a Swiss juggler. He's performed all the way around the world, and guess what? He's still performing sometimes now. He's 72 years old. And he's still performing. I saw him perform at the Catch Festival in Cumbria. Who was at the Catch Festival? Yeah. 2018, I think it was. There he was. He was rocking out on stage. He was 69 years old, still as good on stage as ever. And you know what his key to his longevity was? 3 balls. That's all he ever did. He never did more than 3 balls. He only did 3 balls. And then he would do like 3 hats. And never more than that. He would only ever do 3 objects on stage. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's great. And I'm pretty good at balls, and I was thinking, yeah, I'll do his ball finale, but that's not his finale. I'm pretty good at hats, and I was like, but his finale isn't with hats. Instead, his finale is with 3 objects, but unfortunately for me, it's cigar boxes. And I'm not known as a cigar box juggler. In fact, I don't know any cigar box juggling. But for the purpose of this show, I decided to learn Chris Kramer's finale trick for cigar boxes. Which is very hard, especially because literally this is all I can do with cigar boxes, apart from what I'm going to show you some pirouettes. I'm going to do Chris Kramer's finale pirouettes, 1 up pirouette, 2 up pirouette, 3 up pirouette, hopefully. And I'm going to use the same music he did as well. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, now the pirouette. 2 up. Straight to the 3 up. David, I did the first 2 tricks on the first attempt, but you know, I said I was going to give myself 3 attempts at all of these. Let's go with the music again. Go. Yeah. It's a warm-up. 1 up. Better. 2 up. 3 up. I'm going to say that's the last time I'm ever doing cigar boxes on stage as well. Big 4, number 4. And this is where it gets really difficult because we're moving on to Anthony Gatto now. The undisputed #1 juggler of all time, absolutely crazy. He's still got loads of world records even though he hasn't juggled for years. He was born in 1972, an American juggler. And he's quite a lot younger than these other jugglers I mentioned, but weirdly he was one of their contemporaries because he was a child prodigy. At the age of 8, he was winning international circus and juggling competitions. When he was 10 years old, he was in London at the Royal Variety Command performance performing for Prince Charles. And then he went straight on from there to tour the world, even when he was like 10, 11, 12 years old. He was a full-time professional juggler. He was absolutely incredible, okay? In the year 2000, he went to the Monte Carlo Circus Festival, and there they give out awards which are pretty much the Oscars of the circus world. And he earned, with his juggling, the Golden Clown Award. And he's the only juggler who had ever, up until that point, and since, had ever won the Golden Clown. Sergey Ignatov got silver. Kramer got silver. Anthony Gatto did one better and got gold. And I saw him perform in the same year he did this. He was actually at that first British juggling convention that I went to in York in the year 2000. And I was blown away by what he was doing in the gym, literally setting world records in the gym. Absolutely fantastic. On stage, though, he did crazy stuff which I didn't even know was possible. I'm not actually going to do his finale trick. I'm going to do something which I consider one of his signature tricks. And as far as I can tell, I'm the only juggler in the world who has now learnt this after him. Because Anthony Gatto, well, let me put it this way. I would love to do the version of the trick as he did at like the end of his career, just when he was retiring, like I did these other guys. I'm not going to tell you that Kramer actually used to do a double pirouette, but you know, when I saw him perform, when he was 69 years old, he only did a single pirouette. But I can't do that with Anthony Gatto, because he retired in 2012 when he was 39 years old, which is 3 years younger than I am now. So I've got to do a version of his routine, of this trick, his signature trick, which he did when he was still at the height of his powers, just before he retired, when he was still a featured performer in Cirque du Soleil, traveling the world and in their resident shows over in the US. So I'm going to do an Anthony Gatto trick, and because this is literally one of the most epic tricks I know, I'm going to use the most epic music that I know, and do my version of Anthony Gatto 5-ring balance trick. If we're ready with the music, guys, let's go. David, let's do it without the music. It's like putting me off. It's too special. Honestly, I don't know why I do it to myself. Well, there you go. Tick, before. Did all the tricks on stage, kind of, mostly. You know? If I put together the first show that I did at 4 o'clock and the second show that I did at 7:30, I did all the tricks on the first attempt. So yeah, where does that leave me?